Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for this evening, Thursday, February the 20th, 2014. If you saw my Attack Sports today, I was saying on my Attack Sports I wasn't sure if I was going to make a review tonight, but I am making a review right now of tonight's Impact, still in England, Manchester, England tonight. Back again. My thoughts tonight's Impact, decent edge tonight. You had a great, decent knockout street fight tonight. Another great showing from the Wolves. And the main event, if you also saw my attack line or didn't, I said the main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship was going to end kind of screwy with a lot of interference. Boy, was I right. But I didn't expect the ending that it did. If you saw you've seen my subtitle in parentheses, I didn't expect the ending, the ending to go down like it did, which I'll explain further as we go on to it. As a backstabbing took place, as you would see by the subtitle. Of course, that main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship was, of course, Magnus taking on Gunner. Of course, that was the main event for the evening. We were getting ready for that, as Magnus would come out first, with, of course, his Team Dixie's crony in tow. Would be more Pacific EC3's anti per se, Dixie Carter, coming out, waiting to address MVP. Now, once again, we're having my Attack Sports. I said in my textbooks, I thought that it was official. That last week's Impact, you saw Dixie Carter got challenged by MVP to do a lethal lockdown match. Team Dixie versus Team MVP, which would be the winner would get the ownership of TNA. Well, full control. And I thought Dixie accepted. Well, I didn't read the fine print that Dixie didn't really accept yet until tonight, which was fully, officially accepted that it will be lethal lockdown Team MVP versus Team Dixie Carter. And of course, MVP would, of course, talk trash about Mr. Magnus, about, being a paper champion. And even Magnus, and I was like, when Magnus starts talking smack to MVP, talking about his arrest record, which is true. They used MVP's arrest record as a storyline as well, in WWE as well, when he was in WWE. So Magnus is like, I'm going to make you my biatch. And that's all that MVP could stand. Bam! Nailed Magnus with the microphone. And here comes the cronies. Here comes EC3 to attack MVP. But of course, MVP would have help of his own, as Magnus and EC3 were about to run out. Here come the Wolves. American Wolves, of course, Eddie and David. And I hate to use this pun here, but basically, Magnus went off on the Wolves. Basically, fed EC3 to the Wolves. That pun was used tonight as well. Basically, Magnus went out and EC3 got his ass kicked by the Wolves. Like I said, EC3 was left high and dry to be fed by the Wolves, fed to the Wolves, being Eddie and David. Of course, we would see those two wrestle later on in the evening, and they were also named the first two members of Team MVP. Team MVP will consist of him and the Wolves. They're looking for a fourth guy. Austin Aries has been offered. Austin Aries did not give a clear answer tonight. We also know Magnus won't be in it, but we know the team captain now for Team Dixie, Bobby Roode. Despite what happened last week, Bobby Roode and Dixie kind of kissed and made up when money talked. Now, it looked like Bobby Roode was going to turn face because he was talking to James Storm backstage, because we saw what happened last week with Bobby Roode questioning his future after lashing out at Dixie Carter for getting screwed out of a possible world title opportunity, doing all these favors, blah, 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 going nuts, like hating himself. And Bobby Roode had this whole spiel about quitting and stuff, kind of pulling Mark Henry. Not exactly, because Mark Henry had a fake retirement speech and ended up beating up on John Cena. It's kind of almost like that what happened with Bobby Roode, but he didn't really attack anybody. But Bobby Roode came out saying, I hate myself, and it looked like I said he was going to turn face. But then Dixie Carter came out saying, Bobby Roode ain't over till I say it's over, kind of quoting Chris Sabin, because of course Roode's on the contract. But then Dixie, like I said, gave Roode an offer. He wouldn't refuse. That Roode would be the team captain of Team Dixie. And if Team Dixie were to win, Bobby Roode gets 10% ownership in TNA. Okay, the old saying goes, money talks, bullshit walks. Bobby Roode has aligned himself with Gary Dixie Carter, but he did warn Dixie, don't stab me in the back this time. Don't promise me something, then don't live up to your promise, because if you fuck me over again, I will kick your ass. So he did threat Dixie, don't stab me in the back again. Don't lie to me again. So there you go, we'll see what happens. And it was named that Bobby Roode would face off against MVP next week, captain versus captain, for next week's Impact. But let's get this week's Impact underway when it comes to action. We would see Samoa Joe, of course, getting ready to face whoever would win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship tonight. The winner between Magnus and Gunner would take on Joe at Lockdown. And he's like, I don't want to just sit around and watch the action. I want to be part of the action. Basically laid out an open challenge to just about anybody. And indeed, the challenge was accepted by all 3 members of Bromance. Of course, Jesse and Wabi E, the TNA World Tag Team Champions, and the DJ Zima Ion. Basically a 3-on-1 handicap match. Joe took care of the numbers game very well. He outran the numbers very well, but of course the numbers game did catch up to Joe in the later half of this okay little handicap match with all 3 members of Bromance literally working as a team to take down the big Samoa Joe by making it with the fast, big moves. One of my favorite spots in this was when Joe had one Broman. He did like a double move. He had one Broman. He had Jesse in a position for the Washington leg sweep and a DDT to Robert E. That was a serious, cool little spot with Joe near that double move. Doing a combination double DDT and leg sweep to both members of Bromance. That was kind of funny. And he attempted to buster 3 times on the punching bag, being DJ Zima Iron. Zima Iron got punished the most with the big, knife edge chop from Joe. The old saying goes, Joe's gonna kill you. Like I said, after 3 attempts at the muscle buster, 3rd time was the charm for Joe, nailing that muscle buster on Mr. Ion, making him tap out in a Nikita clutch, and the victory for Samoa Joe, giving him some momentum for Lockdown in his title match. We would see who would he face for the championship after the end of our main event this evening. Speaking of championships, on to our next matchup. It was non-title, but it would be involving the TNA Knockouts champion, Miss Madison Rayne, taking on Gail Kim. Now, I've said this a lot, and this is a knockout street fight. I've always said this about the knockouts. If you see all my reviews, I'm going to sound like a broken record, saying once again that the knockouts division is the best division in wrestling when it comes to females. This proves it again tonight. When do you see WWE Divas use weapons? They use a lot of weapons. This is a pretty vicious street fight. There was some fun little spots in this as well, using a lot of weapons, with kitchen cooking sheets, and basically that's how the match started. With Madison Rayne basically having a head start, ran up to the ring as Gail Kim was entering the ring, of course, with Lady Tapa. Being no DQ, Tapa's interference would count, as it would be a big factor in this matchup. We would see Tapa get involved in this decent little matchup. As Madison ran up to the ring and just basically nailed Gail with a cooking sheet. We saw a little clip of them fighting at a house show. That's what started this street fight. Of course, Gail's still mad about losing the Knockouts champion to Madison and wanted to get revenge. And Tapa got way involved in this matchup, tripping up Miss Madison, even bear hugging her. And there was one little spot where when Tapa was bear hugging Madison, she was beating over like a ragdoll. Like, I'm Lady Tapa and here's Madison Rayne, squeezing her like a ragdoll, and like Madison Rayne went around and her feet flew and hit Gail Kim outside the ring. That means literally Gail Kim ate the feet tonight, because we didn't see eat the feet, Gail's move. But of course, Gail, despite the head start by Madison, would of course get the advantage by using weapons and using the figure four, but of course the help of Lady Tapa would come in handy. And there was one big spot when Gail Kim was going for a big move, and I knew that she was going to eat something. Like Madison was going to slingshot onto the cookie sheet, which that was the spot I kind of predicted. But then Gail Kim got hit big time with the chair. Like she was trying to go for a move at the ring post again, and then Gail got hit really hard in the face with the steel chair. As you saw after the match, Gail's face was kind of bloodied up. That hit from that chair was just very vicious. And then Lady Tapa once of course got involved, and she got very more physical as the match came to the close. As Madison was waiting to take care of Tapa, hitting her with the Kindle stick and about to nail her with the chair. Gail used the distraction as Madison was preoccupied with Tapa. Gail came out from behind, hit Madison with the Knockouts belt in 1-2-3 victory for Miss Gail Kim. Now, like I said, my Attack Sports, once again referring to my Attack Sports, no little plug. But I kind of said my Attack Sports and I predicted that this may be a clue for a possible rematch between Madison and Gale for Knockouts title in a steel cage. But now, and it might happen. Now that Gale can beat Madison tonight, a beat with help from Lady Tapa, distracting Madison to be prey to the hit from behind with the belt, it could build up and possibly book a title match between Gale and Velvet's friend Madison in the steel cage for lockdown. Because every match is in a steel cage, even knockouts matches. And I think these two deliver great cage matches. Street Fight was pretty good tonight, and I can only imagine what a steel cage match is going to be like. And they've had a few knockout cage matches. Gale's been in one of them. So, and I think Madison's been in one too. So I think they both had experience in knockout cage matches, and I think it would be very interesting. But I think it will happen. Gale and Madison being a lockdown cage match, and this is the catalyst for it. Gale beating Madison Rayne tonight in a non-title match. Like I said, it could seal the deal for Gail Kim to get a rematch. Now, one little segment, one little recurring thing tonight involved this continuing storyline with Sam Shaw and Nick and Miss Christy Hemme. This stalker storyline. Since Sam, like we see this whole storyline build up when Sam Shaw visited Christy Hemme for an interview segment and they went out to eat. And, it turned creepy when Sam Shaw had a throne, like a little shrine to Christy, kind of like I said, a stalker. And they kind of broke up personally, but I think Sam Shaw still has a hot for when it comes to stalking her. And we saw him eyeing Christy the entire evening, getting her mic checked up. Speaking of mic check, she was hanging out with the master of the mic check, Mr. Anderson. That was kind of funny that she was checking her wireless mic, and then she would get mic checked by Mr. Anderson, the master of the mic check. And then later on, with this German guy, the winner of the German cut check, Sam Shaw just beat up everybody. He beat up the guy who was fixing Christy's mic. Then he beat up on Anderson, knocking out Christy in the get-go and taking her to the emergency room to get checked up. This whole stalking thing. I know it's TV14, but this is just going too far. This whole stalker storyline between Sam Shaw and Dick and Christy Hemme. I always say Dixie, but it's Christy Hemme. The build-up was good, but now it's just getting way out of line. Now, over the next matchup. Bad Influence against the Wolves. Fans of both these teams, once again, if you've been seeing my TNA reviews, I've always lauded Bad Influence being a great tag team. Cass and Daniels, great tag team. They had a little talk with Bobby Roode, because Bobby Roode was part of Ego, but I think Bobby Roode split up with Ego after, taking up on Dixie's offer. Once again, money talks, bullshit walks. And Bad Influence may want to be part, since Roode's now part of Team Dixie, Bad Influence was trying to please Bobby Roode and maybe join his team with defeating the Wolves tonight. And like I said, Bad Influence is one of my favorite heel teams, a great tag team, and a great heels. Cass and Daniels, I've always lauded them. And I'm starting to applaud the Wolves. I said it's that the Wolves need a few more good wins to try to climb the ladder. They beat the Bromans in a 6-man tag, although they didn't pin them, but they won the match because Samoa Joe won the match for them in the 6-man tag. But still, the Wolves need some good wins, and I think this was a good win tonight. Great, decent tag team match from these two guys. I knew it was going to be a good match, and it was. Great double team moves from both teams. Cass and Daniels doing some great double team moves. The Wolves came in like a house of fire. But like I said, Bad Influence being a sly, cocky ways, they of course got the advantage. Using referee distractions and double teams behind the referee's back. They used using the moves behind the referee's back to their advantage. Big time in this matchup. But of course, near towards the end of the match, as Mr. Daniels was setting up for the BME, he missed it. And then there was, of course, quadruple foot stomp, where it was 4 feet. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. First, he would be stomped from the back with Eddie from the back. And then David would come up the top rope with a double foot stomp to the chest. As the Wolves would get the victory. 1, 2, 3. Like I said, decent little tag match. Great double team moves from both teams. The Wolves are impressing me week after week. They could be they could go for a 1 for being tag team champions. After lockdown. Like I said, they're in lethal lockdown. They're all part of Team MVP with MVP as part of this Team Dixie versus MVP match. I think after lockdown, after they either win or lose, it won't surprise me if we see a push for the Wolves to go up for the tag team titles against Bromans. I predict it'll happen sooner than later that we will see the Wolves at least go for the tag team titles, let alone win the tag team titles. But I think they'll win the tag team titles one day. But at least they'll go for the first push for it sooner than later. Like I said, that's my prediction about the American Wolves, Eddie and David. So there you go. Now, on with our main event of the evening for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Magnus defending his championship against Gunner, cashing in his Feast of Fire briefcase for the World Heavyweight Championship match. He still has a tag team title shot briefcase. And after the end of this, who's his partner? Anywho, I knew something screwy was going to happen. Some interference. But I didn't know the interference would be legal. Because it would be Magnus rules. No DQ, no count out for this matchup. And of course, Magnus would indeed take advantage of this by sending out his Team Dixie cronies to come out. EC3 came out, 4-Mans came out, and Rockstar Spud came out doing interval parts of the matchup. But Mr. Gunner was going to make it even by bringing out his help. Storm and the Wolves would come out to kind of even the playing field. But the match itself, decent matchup start. It was a slow start at first because, like I said, both guys were feeling each other out. But of course, despite Magnus' strong power trying to get the advantage with his strong power, of course, power against power, Gunner would win that fight because, of course, Gunner's very strong as well. They're both very muscular guys, but I think Gunner's a little bit more built than Magnus. Of course, Gunner's not a paper champion, as you would see by the highlight. You saw like little highlight films of both guys, hyping up the match. They needed a little bit of hype for this one. Of course, the fact that the winner of this match would take on Samoa Joe at Lockdown wasn't much hype enough. So they need to hype it up even more by airing, videos of their childhoods and all that stuff and their beginnings in wrestling, blah, 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 blah. So this match, like I said, stole something. Of course, both guys would jockey for position. With decent action for both these guys. And, of course, the interferences would, of course, kind of spoil the match a little bit. Of course, we didn't see much interference because, of course, we did see, like I said, Storm and the Wolves come out. But, of course, like I said, here comes EC3 and the Wolves coming out. And then Rockstar Spud would come out after Storm and the Wolves kind of chased out EC3 and the Bromance after Magnus got suplexed by Gunner. The Gunner was in a good position to win. Here comes the cronies of Dixieland. And he got chased out to the back. All they were chased out but Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud would be a big integral part. One of the most integral parts into the result of this matchup. Gunner just beat the crap out of Mr. Magnus, keep dealing a headbutt. And he had a pin, but the foot was on the rope by Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud was taken care of by Gunner. And then Storm came in. He came from the back, of course, after chasing out EC3 and chasing out the Bromance along with the Wolves. Storm came in. He was on Gunner's side to begin with. He was taking out Mr. Spud. He tossed him on the top rope. And Rockstar Spud was disposed of. And it looked like Gunner was on the way to becoming World Heavyweight Championship contender, being the winner of the title, and take on Joe. That would have been interesting. Joe against Gunner. That would have been interesting to see that match. It would be very intriguing. But, of course, we would not see that match happen. I knew that the interference was going to ruin the matchup. I knew it would be some sort of screwy finish, but I did not expect this. After Magnus was taken out with another big move from Gunner, and, of course, after Storm disposed of Rockstar Spud, it looked like we were going to see a new champion, like I said, with Gunner. But as Gunner was coming up the top rope, in midair, boom! Super kick from James Storm, turning on Gunner. I thought these two were kind of past their differences. Storm and Gunner had a fight, had a feud over the briefcase after Gunner got the briefcase, for the World Heavyweight Championship. And, of course, Gunner basically walking all over Storm. He basically jumped over Storm to get that briefcase that had the world title. And they had a fight over it for a few weeks, leading up to the case on a pole match back at Genesis, which Gunner won. And it looked like Gunner and Storm had patched things up, especially after they won the tag team title briefcase last week in the match when Mr. Gunner put his briefcase on the line. And he got not only the world title shot, but the world tag team title shot. But now that Storm apparently still had problems with Gunner. Like I said, it looked like they patched things up. But now, Storm, maybe that jealousy didn't, maybe jealousy was still in Storm as he super kicked Gunner out of the world title. And Magnus would, of course, get the pin. 1-2-3 victory. I knew it was going to be a screwy finish, but I did not think that we were going to see a backstab tonight with Storm and Gunner, with Storm turning on Gunner again. This time, really bad with Gunner basically getting super kicked out of the world title, with Storm delivering that super kick in midair as Gunner was looking like he was going to put the finishing touches on his first world title reign. To be honest, I don't think Gunner's ready. Gunner's a good guy. He's muscular. He's got the look. But he's like my man. He just cannot move around the ring. He's just a power wrestler. But let me say this: he's got more charisma. He's got much more of a personality than Ryback does. But I don't think Gunner's ready to be world champion. He's been television champion. He's been tag team champion. But I think him being world champion is too soon. Magnus has got the push for it. I don't like the way he's acting as champion. I don't like the way he won the championship. Lining up with Dixie. I wanted Magnus to be champion for a while. He got the big push for him. He looked good in that push last year in the Battle Glory Series. But him being a heel, especially getting booed in your own home country, that makes it more interesting to know that the fans hate you for being a sellout. They rather hate you as a sellout than cheer you as a good guy, even though, like, you see British guys, like Willie Regal was a heel, but he came into England, like, yay! But Gunner, Magnus is the first guy I see that's an English guy come in and get booed in his home country. Just like Cena getting booed in Boston. That's the equivalent to that. So there you go. Gunner not being a champion after getting screwed out by Storm. I think it'll lead towards a steel cage match at Lockdown. They've had other matches before, but I think it will be another match I'm predicting for Lockdown. We got the possibility of Gail Kim against Madison Rayne for the Knockouts title after Gail defeated Madison Rayne in that Knockout Street Fight tonight. I also predict Storm and Gunner in a steel cage match stemming from the events of tonight, with Storm literally turning his back on Gunner. And maybe a beer money reunion, because we saw when Bobby Roode was going to say his retirement speech, he talked to Storm first. He kind of said, Storm, I'm sorry about what I did. They hugged in the end. Who knows? Maybe the seeds are planted for a beer money reunion. They kind of had that inadvertent reunion a few weeks ago when Storm still had his problems with Gunner before he settled it, as we thought. Or so we thought he had settled his differences with Gunner. Before then, he had a tag team match with Roode, and the chemistry was still there. I even said that. I would love a full-time Bill Money reunion. And now that Storm's turned on Gunner, and that Roode's here again, still here, we could see a Bill Money reunion. Either Storm's going to wrestle Gunner, or Storm and Gunner are going to be on Team Dixie and Team MVP. That's what I predict. Either Storm's going to face Gunner in a one-on-one match, or Storm and Gunner is going to be in Lethal Lockdown, with Storm being on Team MVP, Team Roode / Team Dixie, and Gunner being on Team MVP, unless Austin Aries takes that spot. But I think Gunner and Storm, whether it's an attack match or singles match, they will get it on at Lockdown for sure. Doesn't matter in what match. They will be in a match, singles or tag, at Lockdown. I predict this, but stemming from this event tonight. But of course, MVP will take on Roode next week, and we'll probably get the aftermath of this incident with Gunner and Storm, and of course, see where it goes from here. But I think it's going to be match Lockdown for sure. That is it for the TNA Impact Wrestling review for this lovely Thursday evening. I'll see you all later. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all again for watching. See you all later. Have a great night and a great weekend, everybody. Stay warm out there, especially here in Michigan where it's cold as a motherfucker. Yeah.